Hi there, this is Justin Croner with the Growmark FS MyField Analytics team, and the purpose of this video is to show one of the many methods that we could use to utilize data and technology to protect yield. More specifically, what we're doing here is we're taking a grower's yield map, using it to drive the zones where we take our soil samples and then develop a variable rate prescription or recommendation. So we start out here. This is last year's yield map, 2018 soybeans. So what we did is we took that yield map and we turned it into 3 zones. So those yield zones are represented here, blue being our high yield zone, green being our medium to average yield, and red being our low yield zones. So what we're attempting to do here is we're going to take soil samples from each of those different zones and manage them differently through our nutrient applications. This is our same yield zones. I've cleaned them up a little bit, took some of the little tiny smaller zone areas out of there, and then I took some of those zones, say that medium yield zone and that high yield zone, which were big, and I split them up. And the reason being is that I wanted to target a good 5-acre sampling zone when I go in to take my soil samples. So we've got it split up so that most of them are just around 5 acres after we've split them up a little bit. So we've collected our soil samples and we've plugged the results into this zone map. And we're starting to see some of the variation across the field. Now the values and the colors here are just relative to this field itself, but we can see up here our dark green area, which is reading at an 80, clear down to our red area down here, which is at 42 parts per million. And this is our potassium map. Still have some variation here. Our red area here is 103 compared to 131, which is our high. But what we start to notice is that that one area down here was red with both potassium and phosphorus. And finally, here's our pH results. Fairly consistent across the field. We do have this red area up here, which is at a 5.9, compared to the high, which is at 6.3. And this is our final step of building this recommendation. So we've plugged in all our numbers, our yield goal, and what we have here is our actual potash recommendation. And so if I take this map, the average application rate for this entire map is 174 pounds of potash. And the goal and the beauty of variable rate application is the fact that we're addressing areas that need it the most and not wasting it on areas that don't need it. So we've got an area there that calls for 100 pounds of potash. If we were to build the recommendation and use an average rate, we'd be wasting 75 pounds of potash on that area because it's only calling for 100. Down here where it's calling for 250, we wouldn't be getting enough on there according to the recommendation. So what is our yield potential that we're losing by not getting enough of that nutrient in that area? So today's technology and machinery, we're able to be site-specific as far as our application, get our best return on investment, and get our best yield potential when we're applying those nutrients. So this isn't the final step by any means. We're going to adjust this a little bit because the grower has applied chicken litter to this field, but we're going to make some adjustments, present this recommendation to the grower, and then our next step is actually spreading. And here we are actually in the field spreading the fertilizer according to those recommendations that we made from the soil samples in those zones. This spreader is set up with a lot of different features. It's got a split bin configuration. It's also got auto steer. This split bin configuration allows us to put our potash in one bin and our mez for our phosphorus needs in a second bin. So it's actually varying the rate of those two different products separately. So the amount of potash can go up while the amount of mez can go down. There's actually some zones in this field where it doesn't call for any mez on the adjusted recommendation. So that smaller insert bin is actually turning on and off as it goes across those GPS lines in the field. The split bin configuration actually reduces the cost of application because you can make those variations in one pass rather than going across the field twice to get those specific rates on those zones. Inside the CAD, you can see the view of the applicator as he's watching carefully to ensure that his spreading pattern is met and that the material is being applied correctly. You can actually see that there is a target rate, which is set by the prescription and the recommendation, and then the actual rate that's being put out. If you'd like to learn how Growmark FS can help apply the nutrients your field needs, where they need it, please contact your nearest Growmark FS location or visit us on the web at www.growmarkfs.com